Yep. Okay, thank you, members, and thank you for your patience. Welcome back to version 3 of Angus Council's budget meeting. Councillor Fairweather.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I've taken advice from the officers, and Mr. Lorimer, if I can ask him to come in regarding reference to report 7221, please.
Yes, of course, no problem. Mr. Lorimer.
Thank you, Deputy Provost. Yeah, having heard what Councillor Fairweather was saying before the recess there, I thought I should point out to members of the Council the content of report 7221. Now, this was the report about the COVID implications for the budget and how we were proposing to manage those. I'm on page 298 of your papers for this meeting, which you may want to refer to. Okay. There's a couple of recommendations which, having passed the motion, have already been agreed, which make clear the intention of officers to bring back reports to the May cycle in relation to COVID-19 adjustments and the use of the various streams of funding that have been allocated to us. I would also point out, so there's a couple of recommendations that make reference to that, numbers 6 and 9, I would refer to from that report. I've also said within paragraph 4.3 of that report, about halfway down, a full reconciliation of COVID-19 funds received and unspent at the 31st of March 2021 will be carried out to identify the sums carrying forward, which in turn will inform the adjustments required to 21-22 budgets to use these funds. Reports for approval will be brought to members as part of this process. So I think certainly my reading of Councillor Fairweather's main intention around being clear about what all these various funds are, how much of it might carry forward into next financial year, and then the proposals to use those, I think those are all covered by that report, which, as I say, has already been agreed as part of the substantive motion. So I offer that as a possible solution to the discussion and the debate, Deputy Provost. Thank you.
Point of clarity, Deputy Provost.
Yes, of course, Councillor Braze.
Yes, before the adjournment, I made a comment referring to the fact that I thought it would be bizarre if a budget that has already been passed could be altered or added to, rather, by seemingly just one councillor, Councillor Fairweather, without any further voting taking place. And I would just like that point answered by officers. Is it possible for Councillor Fairweather or any other individual councillor to just add a bit willy-nilly onto the bottom of a budget that's already been passed, without apparently even consulting his own administration?
Mrs. Buchanan, please.
Thank you, Deputy Provost. I understand what Councillor Braze is saying, and in terms of the discussion before we had the recess, I made the point that we didn't get an opportunity as officers to advise on the detail. It is very difficult when we're doing this remote. I think that now I think in light of what Mr. Lorimer is saying, it would be for members to consider that, in which case, if members were settled, and really it's down to Councillor Fairweather in terms of the amendment that he's put forward. I'll remind members it's not in fact been seconded as yet, what he proposes to do next, and then I could advise on the procedural side at that stage.
Wouldn't then it be far better if we just ended this meeting now and the council leader can bring forward his suggestions to committee at a future date? And also, if it is the case that a councillor can add on a bit to the bottom of a budget that's already been passed, I would suggest that needs looked at in our governance mock.
Yes, I agree.
Would you like me to respond to that, Deputy Provost?
Yes, please, Mrs. Buchanan.
Thank you, Councillor Braze. You make very good points in terms of it. I think now, as I said, it's for Councillor Fairweather to determine what he wishes to do in terms of the amendment that he put forward, bearing in mind, as I said, it's not been seconded as yet, and I note what you say in terms of the governance.
Okay, Councillor Fairweather.
Right, thank you, Deputy Provost. After taking the advice from Mr. Lorimer, I intend to take that, so I will not be putting forward the amendment.
Okay, then in that case, then we've had the vote. The decision has been made, and we have assurances from officers of what's going to happen, and further reports will be coming to committee. So I think that concludes the business, doesn't it? Councillor Hands.
Yeah, sorry, I don't know why you've come to.
Oh, I just seen your hand up. Sorry, it's okay.
Oh, I didn't know, sorry.
No. Don't worry about it. Okay, well, that concludes the business then, members. So I'd just like to thank you all for your attendance. It's been a mammoth one, almost 6 hours. And thank you all, and thank you all for the support, as always, and your professional advice from the officers. And what's left of your evening, have a good one. Thank you very much.
Chair, thank you all.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, Provost.